Have you ever watched a train wreck in slow motion, knowing exactly when the disaster will strike, but feeling powerless to stop it? That's precisely what Atlanta Falcons fans are experiencing every Sunday, watching offensive coordinator Zac Robinson systematically dismantle what should be a dynamic, explosive offense with the kind of stubborn arrogance that would make even the most patient fan scream at their television. This isn't just about poor play calling or questionable decisions. This is about a coordinator so obsessed with proving his college concepts work in the NFL that he's willing to sacrifice an entire season, destroy a young quarterback's confidence, and waste generational talent just to avoid admitting his system is fundamentally flawed. The evidence is overwhelming, the results are catastrophic, and the excuses have run out. Robinson's offensive philosophy isn't just failing, it's actively sabotaging everything the Falcons have worked to build, and every week he remains in charge is another week of irreversible damage to this franchise's championship aspirations. Let's start with the most glaring example of Robinson's stubborn refusal to acknowledge reality, his inexplicable obsession with the pistol formation. Week after week, we watch Michael Penix Jr. line up in a formation that telegraphs Atlanta's intentions to every defensive coordinator in the league, and week after week, those same coordinators feast on the predictability. The pistol formation requires specific physical attributes and skill sets that simply don't align with Penix's strengths. Michael Penix Jr. cannot squat 600 pounds, and that's not a criticism of his athleticism, it's recognition that Robinson is forcing a square peg into a round hole with such determination that he's destroying both the peg and the hole in the process. In college football, superior offensive lines can often dominate weaker defensive schemes, making exotic formations occasionally effective. But in the NFL, where every defensive coordinator has studied endless tape and every player is a professional athlete operating at peak performance levels, the pistol becomes a predictable liability that opposing teams exploit mercilessly. When asked about his continued use of this formation, Robinson offered a response that reveals everything wrong with his approach. It does keep you pretty balanced from a run-pass standpoint. It's part of our offense. This defensive statement exposes the core problem. He's not adapting his system to maximize his players' strengths. He's forcing talented players to conform to a flawed system that consistently fails at the professional level. Perhaps the most infuriating aspect of Robinson's offensive philosophy is how it has completely eliminated Atlanta's vertical passing capabilities. Statistical analysis of the team's passing charts reveals a disturbing, almost incomprehensible pattern. Virtually all completed passes occur either behind the line of scrimmage or within 10 yards of it. Against Carolina, Penix's average air yards per attempt was a pathetic 3.8 yards. When your passing statistics resemble rushing numbers, something is fundamentally, catastrophically broken. NFL defenses have recognized this glaring limitation and are pressing aggressively at the line of scrimmage, essentially daring the Falcons to throw downfield. A dare they consistently, embarrassingly refuse to accept. This isn't about Penix lacking arm strength or accuracy on deep throws. Film study clearly shows he possesses both attributes. This is about an offensive system that has systematically, deliberately removed those opportunities from the playbook, creating a self-imposed ceiling that makes competitive football nearly impossible. Teams are literally begging Atlanta to beat them deep, practically shouting, "Please throw over our heads," and Robinson's response is to call another screen pass or swing route. It's coaching malpractice disguised as strategic thinking. The psychological impact on Penix has been absolutely devastating to witness. He looks increasingly jumpy in the pocket, lacks conviction in his throws, and appears to be playing desperately not to make mistakes rather than playing confidently to win games. His happy feet and constant double-clutching suggest a quarterback who has lost faith in both his system and his ability to execute it successfully. This is what happens when you take a talented young signal caller and trap him in an offensive scheme that sets him up for failure. Instead of building his confidence through successful plays and positive experiences, Robinson's system creates anxiety, hesitation, and the kind of mechanical regression that can permanently damage a quarterback's development trajectory. No discussion of Atlanta's offensive failures would be complete without addressing the Kyle Pitts catastrophe. The fourth overall pick in the 2021 draft was supposed to be a revolutionary tight end who could stretch defenses vertically while maintaining traditional blocking responsibilities, a true game-changing weapon. Instead, Pitts has become just another anonymous body in Robinson's offense, completely neutralized and rendered ineffective. He's not stretching the seam, not creating vertical threats, and not providing the blocking presence that would justify his roster position. His route tree has been reduced to basic arrow routes to the flat and stick routes over the middle for minimal gains. For a player with Pitt's extraordinary physical gifts and elite draft pedigree, to become this invisible in an NFL offense represents a coaching failure of truly epic proportions. When your most talented receiving weapon consistently looks like a replacement-level player, the problem isn't talent. It's systematic misutilization of available resources. 2 consecutive weeks without scoring a single touchdown as an NFL offensive coordinator isn't just poor performance, it's grounds for immediate termination and organizational accountability. Robinson's system has proven completely incapable of adapting to NFL-level competition, and his stubborn adherence to failed concepts is actively harming player development and team chemistry. The Falcons invested significant organizational resources in building what should be a genuinely competitive offense. They possess talented skill position players, a developing quarterback with legitimate professional potential, and an offensive line capable of providing adequate protection when utilized correctly. Robinson has taken these valuable assets and created something that barely qualifies as professional football, transforming promising talent into a weekly source of frustration and embarrassment. More troubling than the poor results is Robinson's apparent complete lack of self-awareness regarding his system's obvious failures. His defensive comments about the pistol formation and his stubborn refusal to acknowledge systematic problems suggest a coordinator more interested in proving his concepts work than helping his team win games. This kind of arrogance in the face of overwhelming evidence creates a toxic environment where improvement becomes impossible because the person responsible for change refuses to acknowledge problems exist. The question facing Atlanta isn't whether changes need to be made. That's obvious to anyone with functioning eyes. The real question is whether ownership and management possess the organizational courage to make necessary changes quickly enough to salvage this season and protect their players' development. Every week, Robinson remains as offensive coordinator represents another week of wasted development for Penix and continued systematic misuse of talented players like Pitts. A midseason coordinator change is never ideal, but continuing with a system that has proven completely ineffective would constitute organizational malpractice of the highest order. The Falcons have too much talent and too much at stake to allow stubborn adherence to failed concepts to destroy their competitive window entirely. The fan base deserves better than predictable screen passes and formations that fool absolutely nobody. The players deserve better than a system designed to set them up for failure, and the organization deserves better than watching their season disappear because of coaching stubbornness. Professional sports demand measurable results, and Robinson's results speak volumes about his effectiveness. When your offense consistently looks worse than teams starting rookie quarterbacks and aging veterans, when your most talented players disappear for weeks at a time, and when opposing defenses are literally anticipating every play call, change isn't just necessary, it's desperately overdue. The Atlanta Falcons have reached their absolute breaking point. The question now is whether ownership and management will act with the urgency this dire situation demands, or whether they'll continue enabling a coordinator whose system has proven utterly inadequate for NFL competition. What's your honest assessment of Zac Robinson's future in Atlanta? Have you seen enough to demand immediate change? Or do you believe he deserves additional time to somehow fix this offensive disaster? Share your frustrations and insights in the comments below, because sometimes the most difficult conversations about accountability are exactly the ones that need to happen first.